In 1971, the psychologist Philip Zimbardi, that's how I pronounce his name, I don't know how to pronounce it. Maybe I should use a handheld because this is bad. It's fine? Okay. He was a psychologist at Stanford, and he had been having some ideas about how ordinary people, in certain circumstances, end up doing things that they never thought they'd be capable of doing. And he called this the Lucifer effect. It's like Lucifer was an angel, but under the right circumstances, turned into the devil. So he devised a study, and he recruited 24 applicants. 74 people initially applied, and he whittled it down to 24 boys. They were in their early 20s. They all had to be very well adjusted in society. These were his criteria. They had to be very intelligent. They had to come from very well adjusted families, most of them upper middle class. And these were just good students, good kids, no criminal record. That was very, very important. So he whittled down the 75 to 24. And then he assigned them roles by the flip of the coin. 12 of them would be prisoners, and 12 of them would be guards. And in the basement of Stanford University, he created a prison-like environment with cells, and he made it very real. He actually contracted with the police, so he told the participants, congratulations, you're part of the study. Everybody got paid $15 a day. You got it? Okay, I'll take it. Thank you. Everybody got paid $15 a day. And just give me, here, thank you so very much. There you go. I'm going to mute it while I do. It'll make a world of difference. Okay, thank you so very much, Joel, for finding it. And everybody got paid $15 a day, and they were told that the experiment begins Sunday. And so the police went to every prisoner's home, and they arrested them. The neighbors did not know that this is part of a study. The parents didn't know that this is how it was going to be. They didn't know that they'd be picked up by the police, that they'd be frisked, that they'd be handcuffed, they'd be traveling in the back of the police car to Stanford University, to the prison. The experiment was supposed to last 2 weeks. And the guards were told that they have free reins of the prisoners. The only rule is they cannot physically hit them. They can humiliate them, but they cannot physically hit them. They cannot starve them. And they cannot put them in isolation for more than a couple of hours a day. And the experiment took place, and the very first day, one prisoner hit an inmate. The environment became so quickly, so violent, so unfair. The prisoners, the guards became so cruel in a very, very short period of time, and the prisoners became despondent and passive and totally depressed. They ended up terminating the study after 6 days because they determined that it was so destructive to the prisoners, but really to the guards as well, that they terminated the study. And they determined the following thing, that if there is an institution that allows and promotes cruelty, ordinary people will become cruel in no time at all. People who, if they were never part of that particular institution, of that system, would die without ever figuring out that they had that inside them. I feel like this country has moved into the basement of Stanford University, and that these roles are being assigned by high above. And there is cruelty that is being unleashed in this country that we never knew that we'd be capable of. And there are people who respond despondently and passively, and then people who step into the roles of cruelty, as these roles are assigned from up above. And you knew that I was going to speak about the horrific shooting of Charlie Kirk that happened this week. And obviously, I don't condone it. I think it is tragic. I think it was horrible. And that is no way to win an argument. But of course, people with guns argue very differently, debate very differently than people without guns. And while I completely condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk, I have no intention to whitewash the cruelty, the ugliness that he has spread year after year, campus after campus. That I cannot and I will not whitewash. I regret that he was shot. And I tell you why I regret it the most. Because while at 31, he has done nothing but spewed ugliness, division, cruelty, unkindness. We will never know if at 40, 45, he might have found himself on the road to Damascus. And he might have turned from Saul to Paul. And if that would have happened, and of course, we will never know if that would have happened. All we know that now that cannot happen. But if it would have happened, that would have been incredibly healing to all. And that would have allowed maybe for a different effect in those who have been poisoned by his current rhetoric, his current philosophy. I also feel like we as a country are sitting on a heated powder keg, gunpowder keg. And that because the very first message from the White House, even before they captured and knew who the murderer was, who the shooter was, the very first message was that the shooter was a trans, liberal, what do they call us? The lunatic left, I think is how they represent us. And because of that, there is a large percentage of the population who will not tune in later when more information will come out, and as it is coming out. And because of that, there's a large population who will always just run with the initial message that came out from the White House, the official message, that this was the lunatic left. And that is, unfortunately, very disappointing. Because you've heard me say before that the universe is not made of atoms. It is made of stories. And humanity has lived in tribes significantly longer than we lived in nation states. And in fact, nation states only became possible Because we, as one humanity, began creating a different story. We said that, hey, many different tribes can live under the same roof, in the same house, because we have more in common than what separates us. Humanity began telling a story of unity. And hence, nation states became possible, where my taxpayer, my money, pays for your health insurance. Even though I never meet you, I never know that exists. A tribal person would never do that. Tribal groups helped each other, but they wouldn't help other tribes. Well, nation states, we have come together to create a country, a nation. We care for one another without really knowing each other. And that story is being undone. It is a story of division that is being fed to us, of retribution and division. So my concern is not just that this democracy is at risk. It's this very nation that's at risk today. So, thank you, G. Great message. Like this week hasn't been bad enough. But this is the lay of the land. And we're not the kind of people who will not talk about it. Because we don't believe in digging our heads into the sand. We believe in looking at what is and then finding a way forward in spite of it. So what is the answer to this? And I think that this water communion is. Because when we come together, we bring our water, some from the tap, some from our travels, some from our tears. And we pour them together. We no longer look at water only as a resource, but as a relationship. As a relationship with the universe, with this little blue boat panel, blue boat home of ours, and the relationship with all that's alive on our little planet. We look at it as a relationship. And as we pour our waters together and we proclaim our oneness, that is an act of radical rebellion. That is an act of radical rebellion against the division and divisiveness that is being fed to us from the White House. And instead, we proclaim that we're in this together. We are in this together. There is no them, and there is no us. There is only us. And so, when we pour our water together, when we come together as a community and remind ourselves that we're all one, and that we have so much more in common than what separates us, it is a moment of healing, of declaring that we care about the decisions that we make. Because we understand that every decision we make impacts the other as well. And it doesn't just impact us in the present moment, it reverberates into the future. Therefore, in a world that wants us to contract with each other, we covenant. We covenant with love, with compassion, with care, determined to save our democracy, determined to save this nation, determined to make sure that Our foundation is built on compassion, on kindness, on truth, on decency. We covenant. This is this year our ritual of bringing our water together may feel heavier than other years when we speak of wonderful vacations, of wonderful memories that we have collected through the summer. This year it may be heavier, but it is necessary. So here we heal through this ritual. We strengthen our relationship with each other and with the larger community. And we use the water to cool the temperature in this country. Heal it, cool it, bring us together.